Today I want to talk about something that's been on my mind recently, and that's exclusives, like console exclusives, or PC exclusives, whatever you want to call a piece of hardware these days. But the reason why I want to bring it up is because I've had this discussion with a few people recently, and quite frankly, I think it needs to be said in a video, because, to be honest, and I know that people are going to say, this isn't realistic, this isn't going to happen, and I get it, it's not, because of the way the industry is. But I do want to bring this up because I just want people to understand my stance on it, and to understand why I believe this is the case, why I believe that this is the right thing for us all. And a lot of people argue that it's a bad idea, but I just want people to hear me out, and I think the video is the best way to do that. So, what I'm basically proposing is for exclusivity to disappear. Now, what I mean by this isn't exclusivity like Epic keeping certain games exclusive on their platform, because Epic's platform is free to download on PC. What I'm against is exclusives on console. Now, that might seem like I'm singling out consoles. The same applies to PC as well, but on PC it's kind of different because there's tons of storefronts on PC and it's kind of no man's land, so yeah, like, whereas consoles, it's like you only have one storefront to worry about, and because of that, it's like, you don't really have much choice, but that's a topic for another time. The reason why console exclusives are a problem is because of the consoles themselves and the price tag that comes with them. If you want to play a game on console, first you have to buy a console, and consoles can be pretty costly. Oh, they can. All you really need to do to be able to play a game on PC is keep your PC up to date, which does cost money, but once you have all the things installed in your PC, you can play anything that's on PC, on any platform, as long as you have the platform downloaded. Access to games is free on PC. Obviously, buying the games costs money, and that's perfectly understandable for obvious reasons. But it's the access that bothers me. It's like gating off games as like blackmail to force people to have to buy a console just to play them is absolutely ludicrous. It shouldn't have to be the case. We should be able to play any game on any system. There's literally no reason why we can't do that anymore. Now, back in the day, you had like SNES and Genesis, and both of them had like completely different cartridges, so you couldn't just like slot an SNES cart into a Genesis. It wasn't that simple, you know what I mean? Nowadays, because you have digital games, you can play like digital games on PC, on PlayStation. Why not just meld them all together, like put them all in one system? Why not put all the digital PC games onto console and digital console games onto PC? Why is this such a problem? You know what I mean? Why is this so hard to do? And I can tell you why this isn't happening. It's because these console manufacturers know that they're blackmailing people, and they know that they can get away with it because people continue to buy their hardware. And they will continue to do so long as they want those exclusives. They're taking games that you should have access to on any platform hostage so that you buy their platform, therefore they get money off you before you actually buy the game. And if you're buying it off their digital storefront, they get money off you again. So, yeah. And that's basically their game. Whereas on PC, it's no man's land. If you buy a PC pre-built, like Alienware, you're probably giving Alienware money or something like that. But the thing about PC is that a lot of people build custom PCs, and with custom PCs, there's, for example, 3 different brands. You have AMD, Nvidia, and Intel. I mean, we all know this shit by now, but the point is that if you were to build a PC, the money goes to all the companies that own the parts you put in, not one specific manufacturer. So, technically, PC is no man's land. Nobody has control over PC. It's definitely contested. I mean, there's different digital outlets out there like Steam, GOG, Humble, Fanatical, Indigala, Epic Games Store, Uplay, Origin. I mean, who cares about Origin? Even Microsoft have put their storefront onto PC, which, quite frankly, I think that's the best thing that they've ever done, because it means that now all their games are on one system. And it kind of proves a point, really. The fact that Microsoft have put their games onto PC proves that Nintendo and Sony can do the same. And for once, I'm kind of taking Microsoft's side on things, which isn't usual because Microsoft instigated the whole online paywall bullshit. Like I said, that's a topic for another time, but that's the reason why I don't play on consoles, because I'm against online paywalls. So for games to come onto PC, it's a big deal for me because it means I don't have to waste money on their console and support that company that screws people over with their online paywalls. Instead, I just put it on PC and play it there. I mean, sure, you could argue, well, you're still buying it from Nintendo's store, but I'd have at least some more respect for Nintendo if they were to put their games on PC than to like keep their games on one console and saying you can't access these unless you buy a Switch. I just think it's silly, but at the same time I also see why they do it, because they can get away with it. And the thing is that people are arguing against me, saying that what I'm saying is ludicrous and that by taking away exclusivity, it will kill competition. And my argument to that is, well, what will happen if exclusives die out? Now, there's two possible outcomes. The first possible outcome is that consoles disappear, like consoles die out, and everyone goes to either PC or mobile. The second possibility is that people keep playing on consoles and nothing really changes. Like, they still play on consoles and the console with the best hardware wins. It really is that simple. And then it becomes a hardware race. And really, at that point, it's kind of like, well, in my book, you might as well come to PC. I mean, but obviously, there's going to be people who play on consoles, and, well, the people who want a system to, like, put in the living room, they'll probably stick with consoles for a while until mobile phones are able to do that, pretty much. And I do think that mobiles will eventually catch up. I just think it's early days, but I do think that eventually PC and mobile are going to be the only things left. Well, unless there's something else that comes to the table. I don't know, like some sort of a holographic device or something that can do everything. Like, I don't know, I can't see the future, people, but I do know one thing. I know that mobile phones are starting to take over a lot of different devices, and I think consoles could be taken over by mobile phones at one point. I do believe this is the case. And obviously PC, I don't think that's going to go away either. I think there's people who want that additional performance and those graphics, and they'll keep playing PC for that reason. And yeah, it's basically just the case of like, consoles just don't seem to have a purpose anymore. And I want people to understand that I was a console gamer. I technically still am because I have a PS4, but the only reason why I have a PS4 is because of this exclusivity bullshit. I wouldn't have to buy a PS4 if it wasn't for the fact that Star Ocean 5 was exclusive on it. And this is what angers me the most about it. It's like, I shouldn't have to buy one. I mean, obviously, when I bought my PS4, I bought it second hand because I'm not giving Sony any of my money. And that's usually what it comes down to, really. Like, that's pretty much all consoles have going for them. The fact that you can get them second hand and that you can get second hand games for them. The only reason why I do that is to screw over publishers. And the thing about it is that you can kind of do that on PC. Like, especially with all this Humble Monthly stuff, like people buy games on Humble Monthly and they get these codes and then they resell them. I mean, yeah, you're taking a risk, but if you actually get the code, you've basically got the game and not spent a dime towards the people behind the game, like the publisher and all that lot. And I love that because it means that I can just circumvent that whole like giving money to the publisher and I can give it to the reseller instead. Now, personally, that's how I like to go about it with certain games. Obviously, like with games that I really want to support because they have like indie developers behind them or publishers that I'm not against, yeah, I will support them and I will buy them, you know, from the digital store or physically, though physical copies usually I don't buy them anymore because it's PC, so you know. But yeah, like I believe that this is going to be the case. I believe that eventually consoles are going to die out, and I'm not exactly saying that I want this to happen because I'm not against people playing on consoles, but I can just see it happening. And the thing about it is that people are saying, well, if there's no exclusives, then what's the point in having a console? And I'm like, well, that's the question. Why should we still be buying consoles? You know? But that's up for console gamers to answer. Like, you want to play games in your living room. You know, that's perfectly fine. You want to do that, you should be allowed to do that. But my point is that everybody should be able to play any game on any system. It's ridiculous that we can't. It's ridiculous that I, as a PC gamer who has invested money into a PC, have to buy a console separately, which has, you could argue, inferior graphics and CPU and shit, just to play a game. It's like, when really it would make more sense for me to just access that game on PC and be able to play it on higher settings. I mean, obviously my PC isn't really the best, so I can't really say for sure whether my PC is better than the console, but let's say that it is. Let's say that I have a 2080 Ti or whatever the hell, and, you know, I wanted to play like Star Ocean 5 on my PC. I'd want to play it on PC because I can put it at higher settings, you know what I mean? I wouldn't want to play it on console. The same could be argued about mobile phones. Once mobile phones start to be able to, like, match consoles, eventually people who want to play games on the go, they'll go for mobile. And I think the biggest problem mobile are having is ergonomics, because you have to use these stupid touch screens. Now, if they create controllers for mobile phones, that will solve all the problem. I mean, look at the Switch. What is it? It's basically like a tablet. Well, that says it all, really, doesn't it? You could argue the same for a mobile phone. It could, in theory, do the same thing. You just need hardware that's designed for the phone, well, compatible with the phone. You just plug it in, and there you have a controller. You know, how is this not possible? I don't see why it isn't possible. I mean, I just think it's stupid. I think exclusivity is petty at this point. And I just don't see the point from a consumer's perspective, but I do see why these companies are doing it. What I don't understand is, why are people saying that exclusivity needs to stay? And why are people complaining that I'm making a big deal about this? Also, why is everybody making such a big fuss over the Switch and all of its ports of games that were released years ago? Like, remember when Doom was announced for Switch? It's like, when I saw that, I was like, I've got Doom on PC. Why would I want it on Switch? Like, years later. Like, come on now. And to top it all off, like, Bloodstained on Switch, that was a joke. People bitched about that game on Switch because of all of its issues. And I'm like, if you're going to be known as, like, the console that has everything on it, maybe you should try and make sure the games on it actually work well. You know what I mean? Just saying, like, the fact that people are complaining about Bloodstained being shit on Switch kind of makes Switch seem stupid. And it makes me wonder why people are making such a big fuss about games being ported to Switch. So, yeah, like, I just don't understand it. I really don't. Then again, I suppose being a handheld device, it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, it kind of shows that, because you got to remember that this thing can be plugged into the television as well. So if those issues are also on the television, then there's clearly an issue with the Switch. Because if it can't play games on TV very well, then there's a problem. So yeah, I just don't get it. I mean, as for my views on the Switch, like, I think the Switch was a really good idea from Nintendo, an idea that was badly needed to help them maintain their relevance. And I was really surprised when I saw the Switch, and I was like, holy shit, this was an amazing idea. But unfortunately, Nintendo are playing the bad guy this time round. I know it's hard to accept that, people, but they are. They're just as bad as Sony and Microsoft, because now they're like, oh, those guys are doing online paywalls, oh, we're going to do online paywalls as well. So they do. And as someone who hasn't played a Nintendo console since the 3DS, or the 2DS, mainly because of how little games are on it, only to find out that the console that has the online paywall has all the exclusives on it and is starting to get tons of third-party games on it, it kind of bothers me. Because it's like, I would have gladly got a Wii U if it had all these exclusives on it, because it had free online. But Hell no. Like, I'm not buying a Switch unless it has F-Zero on it, in which case I might buy a second-hand Switch just to play F-Zero on it. But other than that, like, I'm not buying a Switch just for all these third-party exclusives. I'm not going to do it. But because of this, I feel like I'm letting down the people who work on these games by missing out on their experiences, when really these games are catering to me. You know, they want people like me to buy these games. And honestly, like, I'm looking at some of these games like Astral Chain, and I'm like, I want to try this. This game looks awesome. But then I see that it's a Switch exclusive, and I'm like, really? I would have played this game. But no, you're not letting me play it. So, fine, whatever, I'll go play something else, because no shortage of things for me to play. But I just think that, really, it's just bullshit. And I know that other people out there would want to play this game but can't because they can't afford it. And, you know, you could argue that I'm being selfish by saying this, but I do think about the other people out there who can't afford a Switch, because I'm not the only person who doesn't have a Switch, people. Like, there are other people out there who only have one console, and then they see the trailer of this one game, Astral Chain, and then they want to Switch, but they can't have them. You know? These people may be kids, for all we know, you know? And as a kid, you know, you couldn't just simply go to the store and buy a console because you didn't have any money. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to be able to do so, but, you know, not everybody is. Not everybody has that money, you know what I mean? And I think if this whole exclusivity bullshit ends, people won't need to have to waste money on buying a console and instead just play the games on the system that they have. Wouldn't that be better for everyone? That's pretty much all I have to say, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.